What is up, Cowboys Nation and Cowboys Cave fans? Welcome to the Cowboys Cave. We got Mike on a little bit of a hiatus here, gone in the mountains with not great signal here. So we brought in Greg. As always, he's a great pinch hitter. You know he's going to come in and handle business, just kind of like the Cowboys did against the Washington Commanders this last weekend. What's up, Greg? How you doing tonight?
Doing good, man. I see everybody's logging in now. What's up, April? Ain't seen you in a long time. You back on here with us, huh? Yeah, that's good to see you. Cuts, how you doing?
We got Doug. We got Cuts. We got everybody here tuning in to the show here tonight. A lot of excitement here with Cowboys after this division win, because let's face it. Things kind of looked a little bleak after that Carolina game. I had a lot of Cowboys fans hanging their heads. I mean, I can't say that I wasn't hanging my head. It was kind of I thought it was an embarrassment that we lost to Bryce Young and the Panthers. But listen, I mean, the Panthers are looking kind of tough this year. They may be that team may got a little bit of something in them. But then it was on to the Washington Commanders, and it was an impressive win. And I understand that. Just kind of not to spend too much time on that game, but we wanted to do a quick recap, obviously a little bit on my end, because I didn't get to do that. I know Mike kind of did, but on my end, what I saw is, I know that everybody was quick to talk about the Commanders having their 3 starting wide receivers gone, but listen, not too many people mentioned the DBs that we had out there, because we were rolling out DBs of guys that I ain't never even heard of. I didn't know who these guys were. Didn't even know they had spots on the roster. So, I mean, we were rolling out third and fourth string DBs to go along with these wide receivers that Washington had. So I would say right there, that's kind of an even match. We had our, depth way deep into the roster on our DBs going up against their wide receivers. They still had their starting quarterback up until the time he got injured. Marcus Mariota, capable backup. But listen, it's the NFL. You don't apologize for wins. And I've said this. I've said it all week. Reiterate it now. Nobody was sitting there and crying for the Cowboys when we had 4 of our starting offensive linemen out, when we had to roll out and play without CeeDee Lamb. Nobody was sitting there throwing us a pity party. So ain't nobody going to throw Washington Commanders no pity party. We came into AT&T Stadium, we dropped a 40 burger on you. It wouldn't have mattered if you had your receivers anyway, because Dak and this offense were cooking. And it was a thing of beauty. I mean, you love to see the offense operating at a high clip like that. And in Washington, getting a little chirpy, over last year, they had their success and were able to, make it to the NFC Championship game. And then they came out talking, we want Dallas. And what happened? They got Dallas, Greg. They got Dallas and they got smacked around. So I don't know. What did you feel about that game? Because after the game, I feel like that's what a lot of people kept throwing up was, well, now their 3 top wide receivers. What'd you feel about that game?
Well, considering how bad our defense is and was prior to that game, and they had their top 3 wide receivers out, I felt, well, at least seems like both teams will be on an even keel. Bad defense. They don't have their best weapons on offense. Maybe it can be even keel. But I was still nervous because of Jaden Daniels, what he can do. All people, we don't get pressure. So when that pressure does finally get there, he gets outside of them. And receivers are wide open somewhere because they're running all day and the corners can't stop them and they don't know where they're going. So that's what got me nervous. But the defense stepped up. Now, you put those 3 wide receivers in the game, I think we got a different game. We might win, but it comes out closer. But without those weapons, and like you said, any given Sunday, every team faces the same thing. I was nervous, but as the game went along, I said, we got a chance to do this. And then as we start progressing and looked like we were winning and we were taking charge, I said, if we can just slow down Jaden Daniels, we'll get this. And then eventually we got there. I even got more nervous when Mariota came in, because if you remember last year in AT&T, Mariota got that final drive on us with 2 minutes left, went down there and won the game with like 12 seconds or something. And Mariota is very capable. So I was even more nervous with Mariota because I said they're going to have a different package for him. And when Mariota comes in, he might do something different than Daniels. And the team hadn't seen that routine for 3 quarters. Now all of a sudden Mariota comes in, he lights it up and they start coming back. And it might be like the game we played the Jets where all of a sudden, next thing you know, they start coming back late in the 4th quarter. So I was nervous at first. By the time the 4th quarter got about not even a third way in, I start feeling a little bit better about our chances. But you know the Cowboys, it's all the way up until you get down to maybe about a minute left, depending on the score, whether you can relax, because we are always nervous when they play.
Yeah, and that's the PTSD that comes with being a Dallas Cowboys fan, is when things seem to be going smooth and rolling, and you think that you got yourself a game that you're going to be able to relax in. The Cowboys will turn around and they'll do the Kansas City shuffle on you, and next thing you know, you're sitting there looking down the barrel of a loss. And I thought the Cowboys did a great job with finishing. They had that game. They kept their foot on their throats right when you thought that they might start to climb back into it. Bland comes out there with the pick six. Beautiful thing to see Deron Bland, with that pick six, because it starts to kind of give you shades of the pick six king that he is. You know what I mean?
Right,
Starting to get back into form, right? And and also what I liked and I took away positively is that they started to generate a pass rush. This Dallas defense, you had Jadeveon Clowney got a sack, and he's starting to, get some more reps and get some pressures. You had, I think they ended up with, three? Was it 3 sacks on that game? I think
they had a couple of sacks for sure.
Yeah, I think they ended up with like 3 sacks, but they were able to generate pressure on the quarterback. And when you can generate pressure on the quarterback, good things happen. And the other thing is you saw some good reps from some young cornerbacks. And just like when we had, some injuries to Sanborn, and you saw, younger linebacker coming in here and getting a chance to, to make some plays. You saw some of the youth on this roster who were able to come in and start making some plays and getting some valuable reps, and actually quality reps at that. So it's encouraging to me, because I think it's steps in the right direction. I think that we finally saw Eberflus start to step out of that got to run zone. They ran almost 50-50. I believe what I saw was like 49% they ran man. And we've been begging for that, right? We've been begging for it. We're like, listen, run more man. And when they ran the man defense, they did pretty goddamn good. And so, the fact that you're seeing that kind of effort from the defense and the willingness to change from Eberflus, it's a little bit, it's encouraging for me to see that, because then you think about going forward. We got some guys coming here in the next couple of weeks. They've activated the 21 window day for Overshown and Ravel. We've got those 2 guys coming back. And yes, and so we've got some guys that are going to be coming back on the defensive side of the ball. We still got some guys that are getting healthy on the offensive side of the ball. But talk a little bit about, before we get into this Denver game, talk a little bit about what you think about this wide receiver duo, the offensive weapons, actually, just because I don't want to leave anybody out, because that'd be a disrespect to Ferguson, who has 6 touchdowns, and that'd be a disrespect to Javonte Williams, who I think is the league leader in touchdowns, or tied for it with 7. So talk a little bit about these offensive arsenal, Greg, that we have on display for the Cowboys. And is this one of the best offenses that you've seen this Dallas Cowboys team have?
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't realize it because they're sleeping on it. Ferguson has 6. And nobody in the Cowboys' history has had 6 this part of the season since Dez Bryant. And Ferguson, quiet as is kept, undercover, he's doing what he needs to do, and he's getting those touchdowns. And then you got Javonte. Javonte's got 6. Javonte's leading the league. But I won't get into Denver, but J.K. Dobbins isn't that far behind him. But Javonte's leading the league. He's healthy. He's not hurt. And the running game is showing us exactly what we need, based on what we had last year. Far better is lining up the passing game. And Washington is playing zone on our guys, and we got the 2 most premium wide receivers, bookends, in the NFL right now, and they were killing them. And between those two alone, Washington was having a fit. Lattimore was having a fit trying to stay on Pickens, and he knew he was going to have it. Pickens got the most PIs called from defenders defending him this season, and we've scored, I think, 20-something points on those PIs that he set up. And even in those PIs, he's making some remarkable catches that I say are akin to Michael Gallup, how he used to catch them. And with Lamb back on the field, that helped us tremendously in Washington, because now they had to play premium on both of them. They had to play honest on both of them, and they couldn't double team either one of them, and they couldn't shut them down. And it was a class act. It was beautiful. It was a work of art to watch those two receivers out there doing their thing and Dak hitting them with precision. And then to see when Lamb got his touchdown and him and Pickens going to end zone side by side together. Man, that's like a Ferrari and a Lamborghini side by side just going in there together, man. It was just beautiful. But those two alone are going to be the biggest assets we have going forward if they both stay healthy, because now every team from this point forward has got to play honest against both. If they leave one uncovered, the other one's going to blast them. And just when they think they got those two covered under what scheme, here comes Ferguson underneath and Javonte getting those yards. So the offense is good. We got players coming back on the line. We got 3 in a 21-day cycle. They should be coming back probably next few games. And I can't say more than anybody else has said in the media about those bookends on wide receivers. And this is the perfect timing for Lamb to come back, because we're going to need the hell out of Lamb next week.
I agree. And you know, the thing to me too that I've been seeing that frustrates me a little bit, because you know, I feel like that when it comes to Dak Prescott, I don't feel that there's anybody playing better than him. I thought maybe up until this last week that maybe Baker Mayfield, you could put him in that conversation. But Baker Mayfield had a stinker against Detroit, an absolute egg that he had against Detroit. So I got to put Dak above him at this point. But it's crazy because in the MVP right now, and obviously there's bigger things. The Cowboys and Dak Prescott have bigger things on the horizon than to worry about the MVP. But for me, I always, as a Cowboys fan, feel like, you know, a little frustrated by the lack of respect and the fact that the Cowboys, there is that anti-bias out there, because you see these lists that these guys put out and they're talking about MVP, and they've got Dak, I think, down there at about 8th. And I think in terms of odds, Vegas has got him at a plus 2,200 odds. And I saw a list today where they've got Patrick Mahomes at the top of that list for MVP. Now, I know Patrick Mahomes got his wide receiver back. He got Rashee Rice back, had a really good game against the Raiders, but he has not been playing well this year up until just recent, whereas Dak Prescott has been playing great through the year. And I feel like that MVP it's not about the most valuable player. It's about the best quarterback on the best team. Because if you take the record out of it, just take the records away and just look at the numbers, strictly the numbers, Dak Prescott is playing better than any single person in the NFL. And he was playing better. He's got better numbers right now than Lamar Jackson did when Lamar Jackson was in his MVP season. So the fact that there are people out there who are, you know, putting Dak Prescott so far down the list when Dak Prescott is playing in one, this is the calmest and the coolest that I've seen Dak Prescott play. It doesn't matter if he's under pressure and getting the blitz. It doesn't matter if he's having to roll outside the pocket. It doesn't matter if he's having to choose and to take off and run. Dak Prescott right now is the most poised that I have ever seen him. And I want to get your opinion on how Dak Prescott's playing, because to me, I think that it reminds me a little bit of how when Tony Romo in his career hit that season, and we all kind of know around when that was, to me, it was around that like 2012, 13-ish, you know, where he just really hit that next gear, and he just could see the field better. He saw everything, pre-reads, everything, shifting the offense around, adjusting for the blitz, all of that. It feels like Dak Prescott has hit that level in his career. What do you think about how Dak Prescott's been playing as of late?
Well, I mean, you summed it up. Everything you see is what I see, and I'm sure everybody else sees. And we all know it's facts, because we don't hear the Dak haters out there, whether they're Cowboys fans or others. You don't hear anybody trashing the Cowboys because of Dak. To them, it's almost as though Dak doesn't exist, because they're not even talking about him anymore. But Dak has you said it perfect. Dak has a sense of calm and aura about him that I haven't seen in his whole career. It's almost as though Dak has so much confidence and calm about himself that he just comes in and this is just routine for him. It's just routine as it is to breathe. Everything he does is just smooth, fluid, and it's just right on time, precise. and he's comfortable. The way he is on the sideline, the way he's talking, the way he's in the game, you don't see that pressure in his eyes. You don't see that worry. And I think it's all a combination of maturity, more time in the league. He got his contract behind him. Don't have to worry about that. He's married. He's got his 2 kids. He's got his house taken care of. He has none of this stuff that everybody else has in life. He has none of this other stuff to worry about but play football. And he's secure. He doesn't have to worry about next year or the year after. He knows he's going to be with Dallas. So he's secure in who he is. He's secure in his contract. Dak is seeing everything better. He has the confidence on that front line, which is really, really boosting his confidence because now he knows they're going to protect him. This is one of the best offensive lines Dak's had since maybe the second season or the third season when he came into the league, when Romo had that line. And this line is giving him the fortitude to do the things that he needs to do without pressure and being able to deliver the ball. He's delivering the ball in windows that when they replay it and you see it from the quarterback perspective, I'm like, damn, that was tight. But it was right where it needed to be. And Lamb was looking for it. The corner's back was turned. He knew when to throw it just when their head was turned. The ones he's putting down for Pickens, look at them. They're within, this is the DB and this is Pickens. It's right precisely on a dime where he's dropping that ball on that sideline. And it takes somebody like Pickens or CD to catch him. Any other routine or wide receiver, that would be difficult for him. But that's why Pickens and Lamb are who they are. So I love the way Dak is playing. And I always tell people, if you're always looking at Dallas's losses and you always resort to, it's Dak, it's Dak. I said, you're not watching the game because for you, you're an avid watcher, but you realize that when they lose, because you don't study the game, you don't watch it, it's easy to go to the lowest hanging fruit and say, oh, it's Dak's fault. It's Dak's fault. Why? Because he's the quarterback, the most visible person on the team. But nobody is saying that now. And they all know it because they know Dak is not the issue. Offense isn't the issue. It's the defense. And the defense is where we still need to get better. You know, I heard a rumor, and with social media now and AI, when you see these rumors, now you have to triple check because it's so many different levels supposed to be bona fide about Crosby. And I was like, no, let me go in. And they said, Trey Wingo. I said, no, let me go in here and read. And I read and read and read. So little did we know, Jerry and them have had an interest in Max Crosby for a little while now. And they've been talking. Now, whether the Raiders are willing to give him up when this when the trade deadline comes up or not, is yet to be seen. But if Jerry does that, Kelly, I just hope he doesn't take us 5 steps forward and then 6 steps back because he sold the farm to get Crosby, and now you just set us back. So I'm hoping I really hope he can get him because I love Crosby. But if he does get him, I hope whatever he trades for, maybe use some of those picks that we got when we got Parsons, when we traded Parsons, because I don't want him to sell the farm to get Crosby, and now you set us back even further. But that offense duo, like you said, man, you can't be any happier if you're a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the offense is clicking on all cylinders. You've got good play calling with Schottenheimer, who, you know, I heard from somebody today talking about the fact that they think Schottenheimer should be considered be in the running for Coach of the Year at this point, because when he got hired, you have to think about how many people called that a horrible hire. A lot of people. I mean, myself included. I was not a fan of it. I don't think any of us really were. And then, you know, step by step, you know, press conference by press conference, moment by moment, you know, we started to buy in to Schottenheimer. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm 100% bought in at this point. I'm sold. I think he's a good coach. I think he's a good mentor of men. And I think he's just all around good for this team. And I think they play hard for him. So I love Schottenheimer. But I agree with what you're saying about, you know, the Max Crosby thing. Now, I did see a report, you know, that was huge yesterday. I saw a report today that came out. I think it was Tom Pelissero and Jane Slater that said that the Raiders got Max Crosby and sat him down and said, there's no truth to the rumors. We're not looking to trade Crosby. Crosby wants to remain a Raider. They want to keep him a Raider. They said it all off season, which I knew that. And I had kind of tweeted out earlier. I said, listen, I don't think that there's anything behind it. Because they've been consistent. The Raiders have been consistent that he's their cornerstone defensive player. They do not want to get rid of him. So I think that's a long shot. But at the same time, I will remind people, all the people that kind of completely gave up on that trade and said, well, it's not happening, because they said the same thing happened with Micah Parsons, because literally days before Micah Parsons was traded, Jane Slater had come out, said there's no truth to it. She talked to Jerry. There's no truth to it. They're still trying to get a deal done. Well, when in fact, behind the scenes, they were working on getting a deal to get Micah Parsons out of there. So I would say if the compensation is good enough, then I say the Raiders, I don't believe that they wouldn't make that deal, just because of the fact that, one, we've done business with the Raiders before in the Amari Cooper trade, and two, the Raiders are going nowhere this year, and they're not going anywhere next year either, in my opinion. I think they're a couple of years off, and so what they could use is they could use some extra draft picks to continue building towards their future, right? Because they've got some young talent there. They've got Ashton Genty in there. They've got some younger guys. I think they've got a few guys across their defense as well too, but they've got some younger guys to build a younger roster, get some draft picks and stack capital, and build from that aspect. But I have seen on Twitter some actual legitimate reports that do say that the Cowboys are making calls around the league. They're checking on some players. They're checking on some people. So I would say this: the Cowboys it sounds like they're trying to get some defensive help before the trade deadline, and we'll see what that looks like. Right now it's kind of funny to me, though, Greg, that we trade a guy like Micah Parsons, and now we're basically looking to replace Micah Parsons. Yeah. And I understand the whole, you didn't want to pay him what the Packers were going to pay him. You didn't want to go that high, but I don't think you had to get that. I don't think you had to get that high. The Packers are the ones that chose to do that. I think if the Dallas Cowboys, and, I don't like crying over spilled milk. It's a gone thing. Parsons is gone. I don't like dwelling on that anymore. But I will say this: it's ironic that you get rid of a guy like Parsons, and now you're looking to boost the pass rush because you got rid of a guy like Parsons, right? And now you're going to have to spend some draft capital to bring in a guy like that. So I think that when it comes to the Cowboys right now, I posed it a question to Cowboys Nation, and I'll ask you. I know we've got Overshown coming back, but I think that they've got holes in multiple levels of this defensive side. And I don't know that they can fix all of them this year, but I think that they could fix maybe one or two and get them to where they need to be, to where this is a contending roster, because I've said it for the last several weeks. This is a Super Bowl caliber offense.
Yes, it is.
If we could just get this defense to just catch up just a little bit, doesn't have to be a lot, just to catch up a little bit, right? They could probably get there. So in which position of the three, position, and then why do you think that this Cowboys team should go after to address on the defense? Do you think that they should go after a premium pass rusher? Do you think they should address a linebacker position to get another linebacker to pair up with Overshown when he gets back? Or do you think that they should go possibly after a safety, because Donovan Wilson is out there just looking like absolute trash in that secondary? And every time I see him out there and there's a guy running wide open behind him, it just drives me nuts. But what's your position group that you would go with? And it doesn't have to be one if you think that maybe they could package two, because I think that they possibly could get two guys that maybe aren't premier, but maybe they get two guys that are more along the mid-tier that can still improve this defense. So what do you think?
Well, and your positioning is exactly how I would approach it. Number one and utmost is the pass rusher, period. Because when Jerry got rid of Micah, he now sees, which we already knew was going to happen. He sees in these last few games that the position that's killing us the most is a pass rusher. And who was the most effective pass rusher we had? Micah Parsons, undoubtedly. So now you need to replace Micah. Even if it's somebody that's not 100% Micah, if he's 95, 90%, he can give us more than what we got now. The number one asset that I would approach and before the trade deadline, and I think that's why they're talking to so many people now, is a pass rusher, period. Because Crosby would have been that man if we would have got Crosby. Then after that, if you see where you got the bank and you see, well, oh, I was able to make a good deal. I can get 2 for 1. Then a linebacker. We definitely need another linebacker back there to help in the back, and then he can use that linebacker to blitz from time to time. But without a doubt, if you can't get but one person out of this trade deadline, I want a pass rusher. Now, I don't want Jerry doing what Jerry really does. It shocked me, pleasantly shocked me, that they were going after Max Crosby, because I love the hell out of Max Crosby. And even last year, when I see them play, all I'm thinking is, man, if we had somebody like Max Crosby side by side with Micah, or just had him, period. But Jerry knows, there's a tendency when he can't get that premium person he needs, then he wants to go out there and spend $35 to get a person that plays $35 worth. And it doesn't help just adding another body on there when the pass rush doesn't help. You're getting that person, you're wasting money for somebody that's not even going to make a difference. So get that pass rusher first, but make sure if you're going around the league, you're looking at the best. You're looking at the best, Jerry, and get ready to give up something for him. Don't give up enough to where it's going to take us backwards. Now, the safeties, the reason why I say I would look at that last this year in the trade deadline, because, Kelly, the reason why our safeties are trash last year and this year. Last year, they were trash. And we had a lot of people hurt on the defensive line. They were out. Yeah. But this year, we had everybody healthy. They're trash because we don't have a pass rush, period. Yeah. And even if you and I were playing flag football with 15-year-olds, you and I, if we were safeties and they weren't putting the pass rush on that quarterback, we would get burned. Because a cornerback can stick with you for a certain period of time, but you know where you're going as a receiver. He doesn't. And when that quarterback has all day, just imagine this is how we've been playing. It's almost as if we give every team the advantage by saying, we're not going to rush. So you just do what you got to do. There's no way in hell Donovan Wilson or any of them can stop anybody when a quarterback has all the time in the world. I don't care what team you're on, Cleveland Browns too. So I give the corners and the safeties a little relief because I can't see how good they are because somebody else isn't doing their job. So these people can do their job. If the line was doing their job, linebackers doing their job, corners and safeties doing their job, we would be able to give a better perspective of what our safeties and corners look like. But when the main force on the defense is not doing their job, that means the number one person on offense who controls the floor of the game has all the time in the world. You can bring Terry Bradshaw back and you couldn't stop it. So I can't really fault the safeties and the cornerbacks back that much back yet, because even with Eberflus's different schemes, if they're not getting help from that front line, they're the ones that's going to take all the blame. And when receivers are wide open, it's because these guys are trying to chase other people that are falling in the gap that this person left, and then this one's chasing this person because the quarterback still got the ball. So go with that pass rusher first, then a linebacker, and then safeties and corners. Because if a pass rusher comes in to be able to give us a little bit more, like you said, I bet we'll see a better production out of the DBs.
Yeah. And I agree because, it's one of those things that, I think gets talked about a lot in the NFL. And I think that even the most basic of fans understands that pass rush makes your secondary better. Because a pass rush that's able to get after the quarterback that means the quarterback has to make quicker decisions. It means the ball has to get out of his hands quicker. It means that his receivers aren't able to improvise and break off routes. Because here's the thing: a DB can only stick with a wide receiver for so long. Eventually, it ain't going to work. It's you want to have that. You want to have the quarterback to not have. You want him to have like 3 seconds or less. You want to be on that guy quick, right? Because some of those quarterbacks have a quicker release than some. I remember, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, they were, always have been known for their quick release. But if if a quarterback has to wait a little bit longer because his receiver's getting jammed at the line and because the DB's on him and your pass rush is in the backfield immediately, then that means the quarterback's got to roll out or you're getting a sack. And so I agree, a pass rush definitely. And we saw that in the game against the Commanders, on Sunday when we were generating a pass rush. Some of those passes were rushed. And I did see that Washington dropped a few balls. There was a few times that Washington did us some favors and they dropped some balls where they were wide open. But there was also some of them throws that were made that were either behind the receiver that I think also contributed to the drop as well. And that is an attribute to the pass rush that the Cowboys were able to generate versus the Commanders on Sunday. But speaking of defense now, we've been talking about this Cowboys defense. We got ourselves a matchup on Sunday against the number 3 defense in the league right now, who I had initially at the beginning of the season thought that this team had the potential to have the number 1 defense in the NFL. They're a great defense. They're able to take the ball away. They're able to rush the passer. They've got an elite DB in Patrick Surtain, and it's a good defense. Now I understand that they just gave up, some 30-some points to the Giants, but they were able to hold the Giants down while because they withstood that initial wave, right? And then they were able to hold the Giants in check while the Broncos kind of chip their way back into the lead, which is what you want your defense to be able to do. Is if your defense gives up some points early, you want them to be able to buckle down. And you want to have them hold down the fort while your offense chips away at the lead and eventually gets that lead back. And the Broncos were able to do that. So, we go into Denver on Sunday, having not beat the Denver Broncos, what did you say, since 1992? 92. So it's a pretty long streak that the Denver Broncos have had. They have really had our number on offense. They've got a pretty good squad there. They've got some playmakers offensively, and Bo Nix is a guy who you have to account for because he's a dual threat guy. We're seeing a lot of those in the NFL now. It seems like they're kind of littered across the league is dual threat guys. It seems that the day of the guy that was just a pocket passer is kind of going by the wayside. You're not really seeing that much anymore. All these new quarterbacks, whether it be Brock Purdy, whether it be Jackson Dart, whether it be Bo Nix, Drake May, all these guys, great throwers of the ball, but they're also dual threat guys. Jaden Daniels, I'd say even Dak Prescott. He's got that mobility to his game. So what is your biggest worry as we go into this game? I'm pretty sure it's all of our worries, but I just want to hear from you. What is your biggest worry going into this game, playing the Broncos, and in terms of what they can do against this Dallas Cowboys team on Sunday?
Bo Nix. Bo Nix is my one concern. Now, a lot of people might be surprised because Denver's got the number 1 defense. I'm not worried about that number 1 defense. Look at our offensive line and look at our offense. We've got one of the top offenses in the league. We can hold them out long enough for Dak to get the ball where he needs to. And they all have play calls and they're designed some stuff to get the ball out sooner underneath in the run game. Bo Nix is the number 1 absolute, categorically undeniable asset to the Denver Broncos, whether they win or lose this game, because he's a dual threat. And that dual threat, if he gets outside the pocket, we're in trouble. And because we can't put a pass rush on anybody, Bo Nix is not the quarterback that you want to have a lack of a pass rush on. He will find a receiver or he will get out the pocket and he can scat. And when he takes off like a beast. He ain't going there just to slide like a Flacco. He's going to run you over if he needs to get that first down. And the Giants' biggest problem in that game, Dabo. Dabo took the foot off the gas. And they were up by 30 with 6 minutes left in the game. Historic comeback with only 6 minutes left in the game. Dabo and the defensive coordinators took their foot off the gas. They assumed everything was going to be vanilla from that point on. And Denver did what Denver does. They just did it with a little bit more vigor. And that vigor was able to take advantage of a team that was sitting back resting on their laurels. And then Dabo blew the entire game when they had the ball on that last drive that should have been the last drive. one of the last drives to eat up more of the clock when he decided, hey, let Bo throw the ball. No, Bo shouldn't have threw that ball across the middle. Bo should have ran it, period. Or they had a running play. That would have ate up more time on the clock. No way Denver wins. So Dabo owns that loss. Him and the defensive coordinator, coaching staff, because they took their foot off the gas. You're not up by 30 points in the fourth quarter with 6 minutes left, and this team miraculously eats some spinach like Popeye and come back and kick your ass. No, you took your foot off the gas. Coaches made bad decisions, and the team lost. What we got to do, knowing Bo Nix is their biggest asset, and Denver's always been known since the beginning of time for having a good defense. That's what they played themselves on the draft. What we got to do is contain Bo. How we do that, I don't know. Eberflus is going to have to get some witchcraft, some kind of juice in this week and give these guys something to get these guys to, if they can't get a pass rush, at least contain him in that pocket and put just enough pressure where he's got to get it out. Because Bo will throw some interceptions now. He will throw some that looks like, you look at it like, wait a minute, this guy's wide open 5 feet away and you threw it to this guy in double coverage. He'll do that. But if we don't get some kind of containment, and remember, I'm not expecting a pass rush all of a sudden to come out of nowhere because we don't have the people. It's the same people. I want containment. That's all I want from the Bo Nix, containment. Because if we contain him in that pocket and that little pressure, we got hands up in there when he throws. Somewhere, somebody going to be able to stop it and give us a better chance. He gets outside that containment, Kelly, it's a free-for-all. And if we try to play catch-up, it's going to come down to who's got the ball last. And our DBs need to be able, in this game, they need to be able to have a game similar to Washington. Because one good thing we did against Washington, Jaden, we didn't allow Jaden to get outside that pocket much. And then even when Mariota came in, remember, that pick six he threw to Bland, he was trying to get out of the containment. He couldn't get out of the containment. And Bland did what Bland does. Bland sat back and ghosted him. Because Bland knew his only outlet was there, but he knew he had the speed to get there if the ball was thrown there. Bland could have played that man right. He could have went right up on him, but he didn't. Bland egged him. And Mariota didn't see it. He threw it, and Bland came. Remember on the screen, he came out of nowhere because that's how Bland was Bland. Trayvon Diggs was Trayvon Diggs because we had pass rush last year. We had a year before, we had at least a pass rush on them. And that's why Trayvon and Bland were able to do what they did because the pass rush made those quarterbacks get rid of that ball soon and make mistakes. Last year and this year, no pass rush. This year, Diggs is getting exploited, not necessarily all his fault because there's no pass rush. He can't stay on this man forever, especially if you're in zone. You're in zone. This man's outside of your zone, so you don't follow him. And Diggs sitting down, all of a sudden, he's claiming concussion and hurt. It's because Diggs knows this. That defensive line ain't doing shit to keep some pressure on the quarterback. I can't shoot these guys all day. If they run out my zone, I'm not responsible. But because they're on my side of the field, it's going to look like I'm not doing my job. Man, look, I'm hurt. Put me over here. It's messing my reputation up. Or if you're going to trade me, my points are going down and somebody might not want me. Diggs is making business decisions. He ain't playing all in no matter what it takes. Bland is, because that's what Bland wants to do, and Bland's playing, and Bland got paid, and Bland wants to play the game. But my biggest concern is Bo Nix. Where goes Bo Nix? Goes the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, and I mean, I would have to agree there. And one of the main reasons I'm going to agree is because I feel like pretty much every quarterback that we've went up against has had more or less career days, except with the exception of Jaden Daniels this last week. We were able to generate a pass rush, which made the secondary be able to play better together. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and turn a complete blind eye and say that them not having their starting receivers didn't have something to do with it, because you did see a lot of drops out there of some guys that were open that I think that if that would have been, McLaurin or Debo, those probably would have been caught. But, again, that's neither here nor there. That's what happened this last week. This week is this week, right? But I agree. you got to contain Bo Nix. Eberflus is probably going to, I would say early on, when we played, when we played that first game against the Eagles, a lot of the bigger plays came from Jalen Hurts runs because we were not able to contain our run lanes. And so they would, the pass rush would come, the middle would open like the ocean opened up for the, and the Red Sea parted, and here come, Jalen Hurts right up the. So we got to have somebody spying on Bo Nix because he does have the ability to run. He will take off. Yes. He will get outside the pocket if you don't contain him. So you have to contain Bo Nix because, yes, a lot of the plays that he makes are from outside of the pocket. A lot because he's kind of one of those kind of quarterbacks like we had talked about, the dual threat guy, the guy that looks like he's, playing the backyard football sometimes. It may not be the prettiest, but it works for him, and it ends up a lot of times in big plays. You've got a guy like Cortland Sutton who can take the top off of a defense, and if you're not, watching them, then bam, and the next thing you know, he's hitting them down the field. He's a great wide receiver and a great weapon for the Denver Broncos, and they've shown the capacity and the propensity to be able to score points.
Yes,
as Denver offense. What they did against the Giants was in the fourth quarter was pretty impressive. I mean, I thought the game was over. I had, saw the score, gave them zero hope. And when I saw that they had won, I was in complete shock. I didn't know how the Giants blew that. I agree with you, though. I think some of that is definitely on Daboll because, I think he made some decisions that led to the Giants ultimately losing that game. But at the same time, you got to credit the Broncos for what they did, their defense being able to clamp down after allowing those early points. Now, the question is for me and for, I think, a lot of Cowboys Nation, what we're all wondering is our offensive line going to be able to hold up against that defensive front that they have? The Denver Broncos are boasting one of the better defensive fronts out there. We have already, I would say, played two of the better defensive fronts and done fairly well against the Eagles, one, and against the Giants. And I think we fared pretty well against those, and then against the Green Bay Packers as well. The Green Bay Packers, another great defensive front. So again, it's another tough defensive front, but what gives me reason to think that the Cowboys can do damage in this game. And then I'll get your thought from this here on the offensive side of ball for the Cowboys is that I think that regardless of who we play, I think that Ferguson, Javonte Williams, CeeDee Lamb, and Turpin, and George Pickens, I think that array of wide receivers and running back is a tall task, and I don't think that they can be contained. I just don't. I haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen even in the games that we've lost. We haven't really seen, besides the Bears game, we kind of got bogged down a little bit in that game. I would say that was maybe the one off, right? But the rest of the games that we've had, even in the losses we've had, the Cowboys offense has cooked. The Cowboys have cooked and pretty much got what they needed to get. The thing is that when your defense is not playing well, it puts all the pressure on your offense, and then your offense is forced to be perfect. Mm-hmm. They have to be perfect. They cannot make one mistake. They can't have a turnover. They can't have a, consecutive 3-and-out drives. This offense has to basically play perfect if the defense is not playing complementary football like they did on Sunday against the Commanders. Now, when you get them playing that kind of complementary football, and when you get the defense doing what they did, then this offense looks like what they did against the Commanders. They're going to throw up 40 points, and they're going to be able to get the ball back and short fields and a pick six and stuff like that. But for me, I think it's our offensive line against their defensive front. If we can give Dak time to throw the ball, if we can get Dak time to move out of the pocket without getting blasted, then I think that sets up for another big day for CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and Ferguson. And I also think that if you really want to minimize that aggressive front, if the Denver Broncos are going to be aggressive and they're going to try to rush after the passer, because here's the thing, when teams have blitzed Dak Prescott, he's been one of the best. Mm-hmm. When they blitz Dak Prescott, he has been one of the best against the blitz this year. But if you want to take that off and you want to lessen that bite a little bit and make them be a little bit more conservative, feed Javonte Williams the rock.
Yes,
he's familiar with Denver. He's coming from Denver. He knows that mile high air. He knows that. He knows how to navigate that. Feed Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams, number 2 leading rusher in the NFL right now. And I have not had this much confidence in a Cowboys running back since the early days of Ezekiel Elliott. Yep. Because right now the Dallas Cowboys have themselves a bell cow running back, and his name is Javonte Williams. So feed him the rock. And I would not be surprised if they do that early and often, and then this feed off the play action afterwards once they get that defense having a account for Javonte Williams. Because if you don't load that box and you decide that your game plan is that we're gonna stop CeeDee Lamb, Pickens, Ferguson, we're gonna stop these guys, Javonte Williams could have a big day against the Denver Broncos, I think, because the offensive line has shown they've been able to open up those running lanes, and Javonte Williams capitalizes. And not only that, boy, look at that man go. Is he not a mean, violent runner when he runs the ball? I mean, if you gonna tackle that man, you better be ready to tackle. You better be ready to feel thunder, because that man will lower his head and his shoulders, and he's trying to run through you. He ain't trying to run around. He's trying to run through you. And Javonte Williams has been one of the best running backs in the NFL this year. So what do you think? What is your opinions of our offense versus their defense? Keys to the victory for our offense being able to put up enough points to beat Denver in case it comes to a shootout.
Well, the recipe is everything you just explained. If they put a lot of people up in the box, now you got to contend with those receivers out there. And it's not just one. We got premium wide receivers, premium tight end, and a premium utility man that can do it all, interpreting with the speed. So if you play kind of conservative, now you got to worry about stopping Javonte. And Javonte all week has been downplaying this game as a revenge game or whatever. And smart on his part, because he doesn't want to put bulletin board material up there for the Broncos. But you better believe he's going into Denver, and he wants to do to Denver what Rico Dowdle did to us. He definitely, but he's not going to announce it. He just want to go in there humble and just go in there and do his thing. And if he's successful early on, that sets up our passing game for all kind of greatness if he's successful. So, and one other thing, one aspect I like about it, which is a huge factor when going to Denver, we're not playing them in late November or December when the weather is cold and the field is hard as a rock. We're playing them where the weather is still culpable, where it's a regular routine game with a nice soft field. The weather isn't that bad, because Dallas does not do well in cold weather. You go in Chicago late in the season, somewhere like Denver late in the season, and it's an open stadium, we have problems. But I like the fact that we're playing them early enough where the weather hasn't turned so cold yet that now we don't have to worry about the weather aspect and whether they're going to get out there and be too cold and don't want to fall on the field. This is a perfect climate game to be playing Denver at Denver. And their defense is number one for a reason. And if that defense plays to stop the run because they want to prove something to Javonte, that's a bad recipe on their part. But Sean Payton is not stupid. He knows the threat we got on offense. And he knows he's got to come up with a game plan to be able to be a dual factor on receivers and the running game. If we establish the running game, just like you said, they're going to bring people up. When you bring people up, these guys going to eat. If the running game isn't isn't successful, then all of a sudden the wide receivers are going to be successful, because that means you got people up in the box to stop the running game. Javonte doesn't go down with 1 or 2 tackles. That's what I like about him. When he gets hit, he doesn't stop. His motor doesn't stop. He doesn't get hit, then he's over. He gets hit and he's still pressing, and he's a bully. And I like that. And any cornerback safety that's going to try to hit him, that's a business decision right there, because that might be your last hit. You might be in concussion protocol going to the blue tent, especially if you're the only one that's got to get him. So you're going to have to hit him from the side or somewhere. But it's going to be a great matchup to watch our powerful offense against the number one defense. And what that's going to tell us, Kelly, is how well our offense truly is, that we know they are. If you're playing against the number one defense and you're successful away from home in an open stadium like Denver, that tells us we know our offense is like this, but that tells us our offense is on fleek if they can go up there and prove by beating that defense that we're the best. But here's why I'm going to be nervous. All the way, well, I'm always nervous for the Cowboys, but I'm really going to be nervous if the game stays within 10 points or so, and even if we got the lead, because of what happened with the Giants. I know Shotty and them shouldn't pull their foot off the gas. I don't know what Eberflus is going to do defensive-wise, because I watched the Jets game, and I felt like somehow they took their foot off the gas on the Jets game. And then I watched the Washington game, and we didn't quite pull our foot off the gas, but we got some key plays and penalties that helped us in that. And then Daniels going down, where we didn't have to worry about that when it got late. But this Denver game, after what they did with the Giants, you better believe they're going to have all the confidence in the world. And Javonte is coming back home. And like you said before we started the show, everybody gets up for the Dallas Cowboys. And this is going to be, it's going to be sold out. Because of the Dallas Cowboys coming in town, and they know their record against us. So our offense, if it's successful against their defense, this is going to be one hell of a game to watch, and the Cowboys could pull this out. But the defense has got to keep Bo Nix as much as possible contained. If he's not contained, we got a shootout. And in the shootout, a lot of times the home team is going to get the advantage somewhere or the other. And I just hope it doesn't turn out that way.
Well, and Gary brings up something that what I was talking about earlier. I tweeted out on Monday. I said, man, I really do want at some point, I just want them to let Brandon Aubrey kick a 70-yard field goal. I want to see he's been money from 65, 64, 63, like 60 and beyond, the most field goals beyond 60 of any kicker in the NFL, in the history of the NFL. So Brandon Aubrey holds that distinctive record right now already. Mile high, known for the thin air. That means that the ball travels longer. If any time that you're going to try a 70-yarder, I think up at Mile High Stadium might be one of those scenarios where you could do that, which it's crazy because, listen, if you get the ball to midfield, it's crazy to think that getting the ball to midfield is basically an automatic 3 points for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy doesn't miss. So I think it'd be interesting this Sunday to see if Schottenheimer lines him up for a 70-yarder or maybe a 69, maybe 69-yarder. But the record is what, 67?
Somewhere up there in the 60s. But let me tell you a real quick story. So my whole life, I played baseball, and in the Air Force, I played a lot of top level softball, where we traveled and went everywhere playing softball. I played semi-pro baseball in Panama Canal. But one thing, and we had the luxury of going to Kirtland Air Force Base, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we knew about the air was being thin. And I was a home run hitter. I mean, I just blasted them. But we went there and played in the Air Force Worlds, where all the teams come and play. Look, Kelly, this was a 350-yard outfield, center field. I'm hitting these things 400 feet. When the first time I hit one out of there, I was even shocked how far it went. And then I had to think, wait a minute. We're over here in New Mexico, which is closer to Denver, where the air is thin. The ball travels. Man, if you've never been in that area of the country and played either softball or been in football or kicking the ball or hitting the ball, I'm telling you as a witness, that ball will travel. The air is so thin. When I was hitting them, when it left the bat, it's already about 400 feet and it's still climbing. And I was sitting there saying, God, I would love to play here all the time, because my average homers, if they went 350, good, but they were maybe 10, 15 feet over the outfield, center field. These were like 30, 40 feet. So imagine playing football and you got a kicker like Aubrey, 70. I'm looking at 72. 72 yards. I think Aubrey, with that air and knowing how thin it is and being an actual witness to feel see what it looks like when it's traveling, he can kick it 72. And if it comes down to it as a game-winning situation, I know Shotty's going to take that chance. And just hope you don't have, if the weather's calm, you don't have any wind blowing, to be a factor, I know Shotty's going to take that chance. But what I don't want the Cowboys to do is rely on getting in a certain part of the field and not staying, focus on touchdowns over field goals
right.
because we have the best field goal kicker in the league.
Correct.
Yes, we want him to be able to be successful every time he kicks, but we don't need to rely on him so much that our play calling is conservative in nature because we know we have him available. So I hope we use him as we need him, but really stay focused on getting 6.
I agree, and I agree. That's exactly what I was thinking too. I said as soon as you were saying that, it's almost like you read my mind. I said, listen, I would love to see him get the record at least. Winston just posted a minute ago, 67 is the record, so 68 or 69 would break the record. 70, obviously. So it'd be nice to see him break the record. I'm selfish. I kind of like Cowboys to hold records like that, but at the same time, I do want to make sure that the Cowboys are scoring touchdowns and not settling for field goals. But Cut said Fort Carlson, Colorado air also added 2 minutes to my PT test there. So
it will too.
That thin air can definitely it giveth and it taketh away. So listen, guys, we got 383 people here in the chat right now. Make sure that if you're in the chat that you hit the like. If you're new to the channel, make sure that you come in and you subscribe. Hit the bell, the notification there at the top. It'll let you know when we go live, and that you can see me, myself, Mike, Jimmy, Greg coming on here and doing things all year long with the Dallas Cowboys. And hopefully this team continues to elevate, kind of like we're going to elevate when we go to Mile High on Sunday. But, it's that time of the show where we do some prediction time. So I want to get some predictions here in the chat, Cowboys Nation. Look, last Sunday or last week, I wasn't able to do a prediction, but I went in there to the game thinking that it was going to be a very close game. Ended up not being a close game, so my score prediction was completely wrong. But let's get some scores in the chat, guys, and let us know what you think. And Greg, I'm going to let you go first.
Okay.
What do you? I'm going to ask you for the score of the game, and then I want you to give us a bold prediction that you see playing out in the game on Sunday as well.
Well, if everybody remember from last week, I predicted in the Washington game 42-29, and
that's pretty damn close.
44-22. I know some
pretty damn close.
I knew they didn't have the 3 wide receivers. I knew our offense was on fleek, and I said I don't see any reason why we can't score 42 points. They end up scoring 44, and they scored 22 and not 29. They get a touchdown. It's 29. But this week, knowing how the Giants scored 30-something points on them and didn't have Malik Neighbors, mind you, didn't have Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
Had a rookie quarterback who's enthused, playing like good rookie quarterbacks play in their freshman season. Dak, also on that list, and a few others played great before they get to that sophomore slump. And they still scored 30 in Denver. The man never played there before. And the coaching wasn't as top-notch as it should be. I don't see why we can't score 38 points. I don't see why we can't score 30. Yes, Giants scored all of that against the number 1 defense. Who's the running back? We don't really know. Who's the wide receiver they threw to? We don't really know. But they got a running back. They got a wide receiver. There are no names. They had to play with whatever they had. And you got a brand new quarterback out there. And somehow they were able to hold Denver down without scoring until the 4th quarter. So they did something to that defense that I'm sure Shotty and Eberflus are watching the film to see how the Giants were successful on the Denver's defense. That's what you do. And if they're studying that film and knowing the offense we have, which is better than the Giants, we should be able to take advantage of those flaws. We should be able to take advantage of our game plan coming in, and we should be able to score easily somewhere along the line of 38 points. So I'm looking at 38-32. I'll give Denver that much respect based on how they came back with just 6 minutes left against the Giants, whether the Giants blew it or whether Dabo and them lost the grip on it, or the Broncos came back and did something remarkable. But 38-32 Cowboys, we break the streak. We break the streak. That's what I predict.
All right. Do you have anything that you think? Do you have a bold prediction? Something that you think that we'll sit here and we'll be talking about come next week?
I think Turpin gets in the mix more. Turpin gets a touchdown because the defense can't keep up with him. And I think between Lamb and Pickens, it's going to be Pickens full day of just running through these guys and being so successful because they're going to have to put their best man on Pickens. Now, that leaves Lamb out there to catch these balls in possession receiving because Lamb is good with that. But Pickens is dynamic. I think we use Pickens and Turpin to an extent that they take over that offense. And then Javonte being keeping down a low key, not trying to make this thing bigger than what it is, although you know his heart is pumping all night, every night until the game starts. I think Javonte has a great game against Denver, which allows Turpin and Pickens to just emasculate these people in the backfield. So between Javonte, Pickens, and Turpin, those three right there, I think are going to put up great numbers to help us beat these Denver Broncos.
All right, I like that. Cuts over here says he got not so bold, but he said Fergie with 2 TDs. That would be pretty. I mean, that'd be a hell of a start for a tight end going through that first many games. That would give him what he has 7 already, right? I think he has 6. So I'd put him at eight touchdowns through what would that be? 8 games or 3, 6, 7? Yeah, through 8 games. So that'd be pretty good right there. Hell of a start for a tight end. So I'm going to say I'm going to have the Cowboys. I agree with you. A lot of what you said about what the Giants were able to do with the rookie quarterback, with a lot of young guys starting, not near the firepower that the Dallas Cowboys have with on offense, not near the firepower. So I'm going to have the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to say 35. I'll go 35-31 Cowboys. And it's going to be a kind of a tight game, with some back and forth scoring. But I think in the end, Dak and this offense get it done. For my bold prediction, I'm going to go ahead and call it now. I say that Brandon Aubrey breaks the field goal record there up in Denver, and I'm going to say he gets himself a 69-yard field goal. I don't think it's going to be 70. I don't think it's quite 70. It's going to be so close to 70, but I think it's going to be a 69-yard field goal. I think Brandon Aubrey breaks the NFL record for the longest field goal up here in Denver because why not? I mean, it's Denver. Why not have Brandon Aubrey go ahead and try for a long field goal there and just let her rip? But so yeah, I think the Cowboys can win this. I think the Cowboys will win this game, though. Again, I just think that the Denver Broncos, they definitely have now. And here's the thing, though. I will say this. My outlier is this. The Cowboys have to play better on the road than they have so far through these first 7 games because we have not played well on the road. You think about Carolina, you think about Carolina, you think about that Chicago game, you think about, the Philly game with the drops, CeeDee Lamb with the drops. That should have been a game we won. Yep. This team has not played up to their potential on the road, but I think we get that right here. I think this team, having CeeDee Lamb back is a huge boost to the offense. I think that they've got a lot of confidence. I think that having CeeDee Lamb out for the 3 games that he did, I think that improved this offense because I think Dak had to spread the ball around a little bit more. I think it had to force him into those second and third reads. I think that it gave him and Pickens time to develop that chemistry, and now you can see the trust is just there. I mean, Dak will throw that ball up, and he can either trust that Pickens is either 1, he's going to come down with it, or 2, he's going to get a penalty for pass interference because Pickens is that kind of player. He knows how to draw them penalties, and it just makes this offense function so much better. And so I love what this offense is looking like right now, and I think they continue to become more and more confident each week. And if we can get the defense on that level and get them to start becoming more confident, and Eberflus, like I said, being able to not be stubborn and bang his head into a brick wall repeatedly with that zone defense and being, more willing to play man, I think that helps this defense out. If we can continue to get, the pass rush to continue coming along. We saw Easy E get a sack. He's starting to could get a little bit more confidence. If we can start seeing some more of that from him, that's what we thought we were going to get out of him when we drafted him in the second round this year. So I think that there's a lot of positives for this team. And I think it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. And I think this team is coming along. You're seeing them get better offensively, almost to the point right now where I think this team is unstoppable offensively. And if you can get those progressions through the defense, then I think, sky's the limit for this team. And I know that sounds crazy when you're looking at how bad this defense has been through the first several weeks, but there's improvements and there's help coming, in the way of Overshown, like we had talked about, in the way of Rebel, like we've talked about the fact that there is some help coming along the way. So I'm feeling good about this. So hopefully we can continue to stack up these wins, because here's the thing, we need them. Yeah. We can't afford to. Right now, Greg, I would say, and I know that, I know Philadelphia, I know where their record is at. I'm well aware of it. I feel like that this team, though, I feel like this NFC is an open race still.
It is.
I feel like it's an open race. And I think 10 wins can win the NFC East this year.
Yeah.
I think 10 wins can win it.
Our division is wide open right now, period. The Eagles seem to be imploding a little bit. And just when they were winning this last game they won, and they used their receivers like they typically would, I said, oh, the Eagles finally got their mojo back like Kansas City. But then A.J. Brown goes out and tweets, they use me.
They got a T.O. situation going on in Philly.
They used me, but they didn't use me or something. He's jacking it up even more. So right now they're susceptible to imploding. And if they don't put Miles Sanders in that game on the 5-yard line to run that ball in where he fumbled it and gave it back to Philly, that touchdown wins the game. That puts us 2 scores ahead. We win that game. But even when we had to come back from that, Lamb drops 3. Well, at least 2 of them on that drive that would have easily got us back in that game. So Philly at home first game, in all intents and purposes, we beat Philly, but we burned ourselves with that fumble and them 3 drops. Now, don't forget Jadeveon Clowney, because I was wondering why Jerry brought him in. He had 2 knockdowns in against Washington on the line. So that plays a factor. We haven't had those in the past. That plays a factor. And then hopefully in this game, he knows he's on the road against Denver, and now he's starting to feel his legs up under him. He's feeling good about the Washington game. Hopefully Jadeveon Clowney becomes an asset on defense for us on that line, where it helps us even more on that defensive line. So if Clowney has a good game, and they're able to contain Bo Nix, we have a great chance. But I will not start to come down from anxiety until we get to the 2-minute warning. And if we have a 2-score lead and we have the ball first, I don't care how many timeouts they got, because after what they did to the Giants, I'm still not convinced that it was all Denver versus the letdown by the coaching staff. But like you said, whether it was the coaching staff or not, 6 minutes left in the game, they scored 33 points. So that tells me that Denver, regardless how the game starts off, they might be able to finish stronger than they did starting. So I don't want to see a recap of the Giants game, and that's why I won't be comfortable until there's 2 minutes left. We got the ball, and whether they got timeouts or not, we got the ball at the 2-minute warning. Then I can start feeling a little bit relief if we got a 2-score lead, like 10 points, 9 points on further.
I agree, man. Well, let's hope that we can get it done, Cowboys Nation. I like to score predictions. That it looks like the majority of us, everybody's all kind of thinking the same thing. Cowboys pull out this win. So I just want to thank everybody for tuning into the show tonight, showing up in the chat as always, bringing the heat. Greg coming on the show and doing the pinch hit. I tell you, it's every time you come in, it's a pinch hit. It's like bringing Sammy Sosa up to the plate to pinch hit. It's always a home run, grand slam, hitting them things 400 feet out of the park, baby. It's like we're a mile high right now with what you did tonight. It's always a pleasure getting to chop it up with you and having you on the show, man. I love having you on. Makes this whole hour go by super quick. And it's effortless when you're on here. You're just like one of you're a brother, man. So I appreciate you coming on and doing your part on the show, man. You're a part of the family as always. So But thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. 415 of y'all, man. Make sure y'all smash the like button on the way out. If you haven't already, I would like you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel so we can keep doing what we do. We can't do what we do without you. And Greg, I'm gonna leave you with the parting shots for Cowboys Nation. Go ahead and get us out of here. Let them know what you got to say. Close the show out.
Cowboys Nation, y'all know we starting to feel good right now. It's almost like we got that tune up in the engine. We just need the defense to come up a little bit. I hear some good news that Dallas is talking to people as far as the trade deadline. So that's good to hear, because who knows who might come out of that Christmas gift at an early time. So right now, let's keep the confidence. And them Cowboys, we just come off a win. This whole week we felt good. I think we're looking good in Denver. We get a win out of Denver, we'll be mile high, sky high. And boy, it's great to be a Dallas Cowboy fan.
And that is how you end the show. Cowboys Nation, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you all again next week. Peace.
Give me somebody that's hungry. Give me somebody that's hungry. I need somebody.